Alright guys, I wanted to do another video using cubes, and I wanted to show you guys how you would use it to solve systems word problems. So very first thing you always do is read the word problem first. Make sure you understand it. It says, David went to the grocery store and purchased cans of soup and frozen dinners. Each can of soup has 250 milligrams of sodium, and each frozen dinner has 550 milligrams of sodium. David purchased twice as many cans of soup as frozen dinners, and they all collectively contain 2,100 milligrams of sodium. Determine the number of cans of soup purchased and the number of frozen dinners purchased. All right, so the very first thing that we need to do is we need to circle all of the numbers. So now, and also remember, whenever you see the word each, that implies the number one, right? So there's one can of soup. Each can of soup, one can has 250 milligrams. So we're going to circle 250, and then we're going to circle the each here. So that means one frozen dinner has 550 milligrams of sodium. And then it said David purchased twice. So that implies the number two. So he purchased twice as many cans of soup as frozen dinners, and then we have 2,100 milligrams of sodium. So those are our numbers that we need to circle. Now we need to underline the units that those numbers are measured in. So each can of soup has 250 milligrams of sodium. Each frozen dinner has 550 milligrams of sodium. There are twice as many cans of soup as there are frozen dinners, and they all contain 2,100 milligrams of sodium. So those are our units. Next thing we need to do, what are we looking for? That's the question. What are we looking for? And we're going to box that up. So in this case, we're trying to determine the number of cans of soup purchased. And then we're going to figure out what the number of frozen dinners are. So those are going to be our two variables. So I can say x equals the number of cans of soup, and y equals the number of frozen dinners. FD stands for frozen dinners. Okay, now that I have my two variables, I need two equations. And my equations, how do I find out what my equations are? That's the key here. Well, go look at the units and see which ones have the same units. So I have 250 milligrams of sodium there. I have 550 milligrams of sodium there. And I have 21 milligrams of sodium all together. So I am going to take those numbers and put them together. So it's going to be 250 plus, I have 550. And I know that that's going to be equal to a total of 2,100 milligrams of sodium. Now, you know that 250 plus 550 is not equal to 2,100, so I'm missing something. I'm missing the variables. So what this is saying is every can of soup contains 250 milligrams. So this is telling me the total number of milligrams of sodium that I'm getting from cans of soup. And if I multiply 550 times y, that's going to tell me the total number of milligrams of sodium I'm getting from frozen dinners. And those two things combined together should equal 2,100. So that's my first equation. I can check that off. Now I need another equation. Now, the second part is, I'm going to use the units. I'm going to be looking for cans of soup, frozen dinners. Somehow those two have got to be put together. And also understand that the units for the X and the Y are soup and frozen dinners. So that also has, so it says David purchased twice as many cans of soup as he did frozen dinners. He purchased twice as many cans of soup as frozen dinners. So we need to put that together. So if X is the number of cans of soup, he purchased twice as many frozen dinners. Now, so these are the kind of equations that trip up a lot of students because they're not sure if the 2 should go with the x or the 2 should go with the y. Well, the way that I like to determine if it's right or not is I just put in numbers for each one of them. So if I put in 1 for frozen dinners, that means 2 times 1, I should get 2 cans of soup because there's twice as many, and that works. Okay, now let's try another set of numbers. If I put in 4, if he bought 4 frozen dinners, then that means he should have 8 cans of soup. So this is the correct equation. When I substitute in numbers for y and x, they should make sense. So now that I've got my 2 equations, I can now start to solve. So that's the last step here. We're going to solve. And we're going to use substitution. Since x is by itself, I'm going to plug that in right there. So it's going to be 250 times, and I'm going to replace the x with 2y. And then I got 550y equals 2100. And now 250 times 2 is going to be 500. So I have 500y plus 550y equals 2100. And then this is going to be 1050 y equals, equals 2100, and then I divide both sides by 1050, and that's going to be y is equal to 2. So this is saying that there are 2 frozen dinners. That's what y is. So there are 2 frozen dinners. And since there are twice as many cans of soup, that means that there should be 4 cans of soup, right? So basically I'm taking this, once I figure out what y is, and I substitute it into this equation. And then I calculate what x is. But this one I don't need to do that since 2 times 2 is 4. All right, guys, that is how you use the cubes method. Thanks.